Hey, ninth grade, this is Mrs. Poncelet, and today you're going to be working on your community project. If you're working with a group, please pause and move so you're sitting with that group. Today you're going to be working on supervisor meeting number 3. And that means that we're going to do a little check-in. We'll have some calendar updates. You'll learn more about the final presentations, and then you'll plan for that action. You'll need the community project Canvas course. So supervisors, I'm going to have you pause, make sure everybody has the Canvas course, and there's a QR code here, and then also go around and just do a quick check-in. How is it going so far? We've had some calendar updates since our last meeting. So, as you remember, we did a lot of work in December with investigating. We had our first meeting where we were kind of planning things, and we continued to plan and get ideas in February. And now in March, we are going to have our third meeting where we're finishing up our planning and really thinking about the action. We also have a bit of time to have some work time over the next few days. That will happen in April too. So because the 7th and 8th graders are taking MCAs during crew, you as ninth graders are going to meet here on the 20th, the 21st, and then on Friday, the 24th. You'll stop in at crew to take attendance, and then you'll go to your supervisor location all 3 of those days this week. And then you'll have the supervisor meeting today, but the other times will be work time for your community project. So whatever you and your group need to do or catch up on to make sure that you are all ready for your action or even completing your action during that time will happen during this month. Then action night is still April 13th. We'll talk more about that later. But after that, at the end of April, we'll have that same scenario where we'll have meeting number 4 on April 24th, and then you'll have work time on the 25th and the 28th so that you can complete your final presentations. You'll hear more about that later on in this video too. You're going to present those to 7th and 8th graders on May 5th during crew, and your trifold boards will be available for parents to see at conferences on the 12th. So you can pause to look at the calendar more closely if you'd like. Now, we have done investigating and started planning. So today, hopefully you'll be finishing up with your planning and figuring out how you will take action. So as you've heard before, our action night is April 13th. It will go from 3:30 to 5:30. I've already had about 11 groups apply to do some sort of action. And on that night, you can have a classroom, part of the flex space, or part of the gym space. And you must have a plan for that time. You want to make sure there's a clear connection to the community project. So not just a basketball game for fun, but what is your basketball game doing that's community service. So you need to have a plan for that. The application date those are due March 22nd. So over the next couple of days, if you want to apply, make sure that you do. And I will email you with any follow-up questions. So if you've already applied, check your email and I'll have some further information for you. Now, reminder on your service, this should be more than just going somewhere and doing volunteer hours. And instead, this is a time for you to really show your learning. Also, we're not going to be collecting any money, but you can advocate for a need, but make sure you're not personally collecting any money. We're also not going to set up collection bins at West. If you want to have collection bins, you can work with another organization or a community group and arrange that outside of school. We are just going to have that one day when we'll have tournaments and activities at West, April 13th. If you want to do an activity a different time, then you will need to do that in a different space as well. And any other tournaments or activities will have to happen elsewhere. So remember, as you're doing your planning, that there are multiple ways that we can do service. There's direct service, which is that person to person, face to face. We're directly involved with the people who we're serving. There's also indirect service, and those we think of like donations or when we volunteer for Feed My Starving Children, you provide a service without being directly involved or in the presence of those being impacted. But we can also do other types of service like research based, where we're gathering and reporting on information to benefit the community or the public interest, or advocacy based, where we're speaking up about an issue or solution. When we use our voices or our other talents, when we create something, maybe creating art or a presentation or something like that, a poster or multiple posters where we advocate for a cause that's important to us. So, to summarize, for what you need to do is make sure that you can plan and complete your service action. So you're going to use those project plans in Canvas. Project plan number 1 and number 2 you've already been working on, and now you're going to look on Canvas and look at project plan number 3 as a guide for how to take your ideas from just a plan to action. Again, make sure if you want to apply for Action Night on April 13th, that's due March 22nd, and our final presentations, everything should be wrapped up by May 5th. So, supervisors, if you want to pause here to make sure everybody is understanding of this, then you can. Our next section is going to be an introduction on the final presentations. Your quick reflection here could be what seems like the first thing that you should do when we get work time today. Take a moment to discuss that. All right. So for your final presentations, you will be scored on all 4 of these criteria, A, B, C, D, really going through the design cycle on the investigating, planning, action, and reflecting. So you will need to present how you did all 4 of those steps in the project. And you will present those to a mix of 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. So you'll create a trifold board, and I'll show you some examples. Hopefully your supervisor has some examples, and if not, I'll have some in my office and we can get those to you. And you can use additional digital resources if you like, video, presentations, and you will be assessed on investigating, planning, taking action, and reflecting. But your supervisor and at least one other teacher will be assessing and will get feedback from the other students who are watching your presentations too. So, a community project certificate will be added to your transcript as a high schooler if you score at least 3 on this. As you are doing your action, make sure you're taking pictures because that makes a great addition to your trifold. And include things from your process journal, your project proposals, and of course, photos. IB recommends that individual presentations go for about 6 to 8 minutes and group presentations go for about 10 to 14 minutes. So you really want to explain your whole process on this community project. So some examples from years past of how people have shown the 4 areas of what they've done, and they've used these trifold boards as kind of a springboard, a way to show what they've done, and then also you will be explaining. You will be doing a speech along with your trifold boards. So for the trifolds, you want to make sure you're including the 4 steps of the process. Include images, journal entries from that process journal, and your project proposal work. The things that you're doing in Canvas can be included on that trifold board. Your boards can stay in your supervisor's room or you can take them. And we have blank boards in the Media Center conference room. So that's where you or your supervisor can get those boards. You can work during your supervisor meeting time, these next few work sessions, or outside of school. And we'll have time, not that morning of presentations, but the week before presentations for that. So now it's time for our supervisor check-in. Think about what do you need to do in order to take action? When will you complete your action? Do you need to contact anyone? Do you need to schedule space at West for the action night? If you've already done your action, reflect on how it went, and you'll include that in your final presentations. And the next, think about what is the next step to keep our project moving forward. So supervisors, you can pause on this. Students, you're going to use this as kind of your checklist, the to-do here for what you're going to do as supervisors go and check in with each of you. Thanks so much.